Well, the FBI says Sunday's attack at a Prophet Muhammad cartoon contest in Garland, Texas, represents a new type of evolving threat from ISIS, and one that has them scrambling to monitor thousands of sympathizers here in the United States. Joining us to discuss is the Journal's Andrew Grossman. Thank you so much for coming on, Andrew.
Thanks, Jeff.
And so, what's different this time? What have we learned?
So the FBI is worried about this new sort of threat that they're seeing, and they see Garland as an example of. It involves social media. They're worried about these hundreds of people who they've got an eye on, who are potentially violent extremists in the U.S., and they're trying to sort out which of these people are doers who might carry out some action because they've been inspired by Islamic State's propaganda, and which are simply talkers. And so, the issue here, what the new thing is that social media has allowed the Islamic State, in a way that no other organization has really exploited so far, to push its message, to push its suggested targets, like events like this Muhammad cartoon contest, directly into the pockets of its followers, or people who, its sympathizers, for lack of a better word. And so the FBI director yesterday was saying, and he said this a little bit before, that this is a new, especially concerning thing to him that poses a new threat. And the FBI is trying to keep up with it.
But I guess one, not positive, but one thing about this is if it used to be with terrorism, it was a bunch of guys meeting in someone's basement going over plans. If it's now on the internet, whether it's hidden on the internet or not, it's in an open space that the NSA or the FBI can monitor, that does give them an opportunity. And as you mentioned in the Garland story, they said this guy was someone to worry about, right?
It gives them an opportunity, but there's still one issue that law enforcement points to, and this is a big source of debate between law enforcement and civil libertarians and technology companies, is a new generation of encryption software that makes it harder for law enforcement to monitor these communications. What they're now seeing, according to the FBI director, is a person in the U.S. Or a Westerner make contact on social media with a known Islamic State member, some other extremist, and then that conversation goes behind closed doors that the government can't unlock. And they are have a very spotty record in a lot of cases of getting behind those closed doors, that encryption. So in some cases, yes, and that does allow them, the fact that this isn't public, this isn't on social media, does allow them to at least flag certain people and conduct more investigations, but those investigations are getting harder and harder to conduct, according to the FBI.
And it does also open up the ability for these groups to communicate across borders, across countries, across regions, because now telecommunication enables somebody in the Middle East to talk to somebody in Texas and be on the same page.
Right, and Islamic State has taken a different approach to this sort of thing. They're out there with messages that say, go carry out an attack, there's these people we'd like to kill, there's this event we'd like to attack, our followers, go do this in our name. Whereas core al-Qaeda would traditionally, was focused on plots. They were focused on using vetted members, people they knew, to carry these things out, which makes for a much easier way in a lot of ways for law enforcement to detect things, because it involves travel, it involves money. In this case, even if the case of Garland, for example, you have a guy who they knew, but they didn't know he had left Phoenix, they didn't know he was actively plotting, because while he was involved in this on social media, there were many people who were involved in talking about this on social media, and he hadn't carried out any communications that they could see, at least as far as we know so far, that would have indicated that he was planning to go and even leave his home in Phoenix, let alone try to shoot up this event.
Well, very scary. Thank you so much for joining us, Andrew.